Well, it has been a rather weird 24 hours here in the crypto market following yesterday's FOMC meeting. Now, in that meeting, the Fed decided to not cut rates, which is what most people expected, but it was what followed that decision that caught the market off guard. When Jerome Powell came on the stage, he basically said that the state of the US economy is actually in a pretty good place, and because of that, they don't particularly see a need to cut interest rates right now or possibly anytime soon, but of course, they would factor in the next two rounds of data before September's meeting before making a decision on what they'll do in September and what they'll do in October. Now, as a result of him saying this, it caused the market to freak out. People who were expecting that in September and October they would see interest rate cuts, they basically gave up hope. As you can see here, before that meeting, there was a 64% chance that we would see rate cuts in the September meeting, whereas now that's just 39%. And then for the October meeting, it went from an 80% chance that there would be a cut to now a 62% chance. And so as you can see, people who were expecting that there would be a rate cut in the following months, well, they started to lose hope. Now, of course, as a result of this, people started to sell off their cryptos. We saw Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, and many more just absolutely tanking over the course of like 30 minutes to an hour because people were losing a little bit of optimism, the same optimism that pumped the markets. Because what you have to understand is that the very reason why Bitcoin, for example, absolutely ran, why the stock market absolutely ran, was because people are expecting that interest rate cuts are coming. And when they happen, it should inject a ton of liquidity into the market, and that should, of course, be a benefit to risk on assets like cryptos and some, of course, individual stocks. So if people are buying because they're expecting interest rate cuts, when Jerome Powell says something that could imply that they're not going to cut interest rates, well, it's a great formula for the market to fall. But interestingly enough, over the last 24 hours, it actually hasn't really been as bad as I think many people were expecting. If you look at the 24-hour performance in the top 100, there's actually a couple cryptos that are doing quite well. You got Pump, PLSX, ENA, CFX, S, Ton, HBAR, and PLS all performing rather well, and even the cryptos that aren't in the green are not down that much. If you actually look at the top 10, Bitcoin slightly positive in the last 24 hours, Ethereum, XRP barely negative, BNB barely positive, Solana down. I mean, there's not like this crazy ripple effect through the markets as a result of what we saw yesterday, and I think that, of course, has just led a lot of investors to wonder what in the world is going on. I mean, it makes sense why people are upset because it doesn't seem like there's interest rate cuts coming, but it does mean that the US economy is in a pretty good spot. So like, is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What can we expect next? And now that you're updated and caught up to date on why all this craziness has been happening, I want to touch on that. And I want to go into, okay, now that we're past all of this, and now that we have the next, say, a couple weeks in front of us, what can we actually be expecting from this crypto market? Because oddly enough, almost nothing has changed. And I think what you need to be paying attention to for the next few weeks is very, very obvious. Okay. So without further ado, let's kind of pivot now into the next portion of the video and talk about what's coming next. And before we do that, guys, do not forget that if you are actively trading cryptos, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it may be, you can check out the link to BTCC down below. Guys, each one of you watching this video right now is going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses and lower trading fees if you sign up on this page with my link, which is down below. There's a ton of great benefits, a ton of great rewards, and it's a very strong exchange. And so if that interests you, check out that link down below. Let me know what you think. But looking at Bitcoin, okay, let's start with Bitcoin and then we'll talk about altcoins, because remember, I'm firmly under the belief that Bitcoin is going to regain some control of the market in the short term. Especially when you look at Bitcoin dominance, it's giving every signal that it might want to give some sort of short-term reversal back towards the upside. So I think it's incredibly essential that you pay very close attention to Bitcoin, because that is going to be the determining factor of what this market does. And if you just look at Bitcoin's performance over the last 24 hours, I mean, guys, it is doing exactly what we spoke about. I've told you all consistently, like, what happens in the news, what happens in the macro, what happens geopolitically, all these things are very important, and they're going to influence Bitcoin's price to move around and shift, go up and go down. But the truth is, none of anything matters when Bitcoin is in this descending channel. And while Bitcoin is in this descending channel, nothing of substance is going to happen. It's going to have little dumps, it's going to have little pumps, it's going to be going sideways, but nothing of substance is going to happen. And so until we break out of this channel, don't fall for any of the BS. The world is not falling and the pump is not coming while we are in this descending channel. Dumps won't be that bad, pumps won't be that good. It is going to continue like this over and over and over and over again until Bitcoin decides that it is going to break this channel. And so what do we do in order to play the game? We have a couple options. Option number one is you can just hold. You can just hold your way through it. If you bought Bitcoin at say 90K and you just want to hold your way through this descending channel and wait for the breakout, it's a fantastic option. If you, of course, wanted to do a little bit of range trading, the second option that you have is to be buying in the bright green box, be buying a little bit in the dark green box, and selling anytime that we're in the black box. It's the easiest way to range trade this thing. Scoop the lows, sell the highs over and over and over again until something breaks. It's exactly what we did in the past. I mean, go look at what we did throughout the majority of this year, guys. While everyone was losing money throughout May, throughout June, throughout July, or the beginning of July, what were we doing? We were scooping the lows, we were selling the tops, and we were able to generate actually a profit in the trading portfolio during this time frame when most people who were just holding actually took losses. And so it doesn't mean that what Bitcoin's doing right now is a bad thing. There are many opportunities to make money during this little sideways range, but the truth is, while Bitcoin is in this, FOMC news, interest rate news, tariff news, it's all good, fine, and dandy. But until Bitcoin breaks out of this descending channel, none of it is actually going to produce a move of substance. So there's no need to freak out. Oh, Bitcoin's dropping because of this tariff news. Okay, cool. Are we still in the descending channel? All right, then I don't care. Oh, Bitcoin's pumping because Jerome Powell said they're going to cut rates. Oh, are we still in the descending channel? Okay, I don't care. You have to be able to filter through the news, decide what is going to, how you believe it's going to impact the crypto assets that you hold over a more long term, but then still be able to zoom in and look at the general structure here and say, okay, yeah, that news is good or that news is bad, but that news is irrelevant while we are still sitting in this sideways structure. And so for Bitcoin, if you want to know what to do next after following yesterday's FOMC, after hearing what Jerome Powell said, after not knowing what to do, just watch the structure. It is going to tell you what will happen. If Bitcoin's price decides that it's going to absolutely nuke down through the structure, that is incredibly bad. That is not a good thing. You don't want to see that. It's a rarity. It does not happen often. And so if that is triggered by some bad news, that is a bad thing. And it is possible. I don't particularly believe it's likely, but it is possible. I mean, go look at the liquidation map, and this should update a little bit here. But go look at the liquidation map. Go look at the 30-day liquidations. There's a ton of liquidations. I mean, if Bitcoin falls back to $105,000, there's $18 billion of liquidation sitting below us, and $105,000 is way down here, my friends. So it's very possible that a move like this happens. I just don't believe it's the most likely scenario. Now, can Bitcoin continue to trend downwards slowly? Can it continue to follow this thing, maybe even fake out of it a couple times slowly because people are not expecting interest rate cuts, and so they're starting to feel a little bit demoralized by the market? Absolutely. Guys, historically, the median performance of August is a negative. Most Augusts are negative. Most Septembers are not great. So knowing, of course, that we're going into 2 months that are historically not great, don't be surprised if it takes Bitcoin some time. If Bitcoin doesn't immediately just start sending to 135, if it does need to pull back, if it does need to go sideways, that's very possible. But all in all, nothing of substance will happen until it breaks out. Even if it just does something like this, that's all it's doing. It's not a big deal. And I feel like that's what happened yesterday. Everyone freaked out. Everyone panicked. Everyone worried. Oh my God, interest rate cuts aren't coming. The crypto market's going to hate this. We just need to get out. We need to sell. And I literally saw people on my Instagram, in my DMs, telling me how they got out and they're going to rebuy Bitcoin at 100K. And I questioned them. I pushed on it. I said, listen, why would you do that out of curiosity? Why would you do that knowing that the structure is still maintained? This is what matters. And while we're in this, making big moves is probably just not a great idea. Small micro moves and micro adjustments to be able to play the long game is fine. But making gigantic moves on Bitcoin and, the majority of your crypto portfolio while Bitcoin is maintaining the structure is just a weird idea to me. I just don't like it. Yesterday, when Bitcoin's price fell into this green box, the dark green box, I asked you all on live stream. I said, what do you think I'm going to do right now? And everyone put it, Tyler, you're going to buy, you're going to DCA, you're going to get in, you're going to buy. And I said, why? And they said, because everyone's freaking out. And I was like, exactly. And what do you know? Bitcoin's price bounces from the green box to the top side of the black box. And it gave me a great opportunity to do a little scalp trade right there just yesterday. It's easy stuff. So while everyone's freaking out and panic selling, we're just capturing, scooping the lows, selling the highs until something breaks. And that's all you need to worry about. Just trust me. It's the only thing that really matters right now. Nothing of substance will happen while we're in this structure. So don't freak out. Okay. Now, when we shift gears a little bit over to the altcoin market, it does look a little bit different. There is something happening with the altcoin market right now that is a little bit more concerning. If I'm going to be super honest, a little bit more concerning. And I am under the belief that if Bitcoin's price does continue to trade downwards, maybe it comes back to the 113, 112, level. If it does trend downwards, it could be a little bit negative for the altcoin market. And the reason why I say that is because what we are seeing structurally from the altcoin market. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm just going to remove everything for now. I'm even going to give get rid of the RSI. And I'm going to show you what this is at its core. At its core, many people are going to say this is one of two things. People are either going to say that this is a double top, right? Or that this is a blood diamond, both of which I think has substance. People do like to say that blood diamonds can't have a valley top. I disagree. I've seen blood diamonds form just like this. They look exactly like this, and they are followed by dumps. That is a possibility. M tops are the same. A double top like this will typically pull back towards the downside. And what does this mean? Well, it means that in the shorter time frames, the altcoin market is at risk right now. And if Bitcoin's price is going to continue to slowly trickle downwards and pull back downwards, it is a possibility that we do see the majority of our altcoins start to pull back. And that does make sense. I know you may not like it, but it does make sense. Altcoins have been growing as a result of people expecting a more risk-on environment. But if that risk-on environment, which would be produced by quantitative easing and interest rates being cut, is not going to happen in the next couple months, people are going to de-risk. And by de-risk, what they're going to do is they're going to sell their altcoins, they're going to take profits off their altcoins, they're going to either sit that cash in stable coins, or they're going to shift it over to Bitcoin, which is going to increase Bitcoin dominance, decrease altcoin dominance, and you're going to start to see altcoins underperform for a little bit of time. That is a normal thing that would happen in a scenario like this. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen, but it would make sense for that to happen. And so knowing that there is a plausible reason as to why the altcoin market could start to cool down, pull back, reset a little bit, it's incredibly important that you're watching what happens here for Total 2 extremely closely. Now, if you don't know what Total 2 is the total market cap of altcoins. And so it's a good overview of the altcoin market as a whole. And again, what you can see is that if the altcoin market does come down and it loses this support, which ranges right here, guys, between 1.4 and 1.43 trillion, yeah, the door to the downside is open. I would say it's well within reason that we could definitely see the altcoin market start pulling back towards some of these lower levels, possibly as low as 1.36, 1.32 trillion, which would imply that the altcoin market as a whole could fall another 5 to 10% just to get started. The scary truth is that there's not a ton of liquidity until 1.28 trillion, which could have the altcoin market falling all the way another 12.3%, which would imply that your top 10 would fall anywhere from 5 to 10, and a lot of your more mid caps or so could fall anywhere from 20 to 30%, right? And so I know you may not want to hear it, but the truth is it is a possibility. It is at risk. So whenever you're an altcoin investor, what you need to be paying attention to right now is this support. As long as we're above the support, hey, fields are looking still pretty green. One of the key things that you need to be very aware of is the fact that actually, if I go back out to Total 2 now, what you can see is that we are still on top of the macro golden zone. Remember, we had this golden zone, we broke above it. So the door for the altcoin market to run is open. I still do believe that the altcoin market will eventually hit 2 trillion or 2.5 trillion. I think that is well within the world of reason, and I have no reason to believe it can't happen. The thing is, though, knowing that we just broke the golden zone, that was a lot of bullish energy. And there is a world in which the altcoin market needs to come back down, find some support, maybe flip some more resistance into support, use that support to then make that run. This move is possible. This move has a lot of plausible reasoning as to why it could. Some would even say should happen. And so you just need to be aware that some sort of pullback for the altcoin market isn't out of the realm of possibility here. I would almost go and say it's a coin flip. The reasonable thing to happen for the altcoin market is a pullback. That is the reasonable thing to expect from the altcoin market. The problem with that is, though, when you expect something to happen in crypto, it is almost always that the opposite thing happens. And knowing that we do have the support and we're still holding the support could be just enough for this altcoin market to rally. I don't particularly see why it would. It has no really good reason to do that right now, but it's definitely possible. And so what do you do if you're an altcoin holder? You just wait, just pause. Don't do anything right now. Let this play out. Do we hold this support and use this support to start trending higher? If so, great. That should align with Bitcoin's price breaking out of this descending channel, and then we'll have a clear visual of what to do next. But until a move like that happens, or a move like this happens, there is no real objective way to look at this and say one thing's going to happen or another's going to happen. I'm not one of those guys who likes to go on YouTube and says, guys, we're definitely going to dump or we're definitely going to pump, because the truth is I don't know, just like you don't know. But what I do know is that while Bitcoin is in this structure, it is impossible to even have an idea of what's going to happen today, what's going to happen tomorrow. And making big moves right now is simply taking risks for no reason. Trade the range if you want to trade. Trade the Bitcoin range if you want to trade. Set your stop losses within enough reason to account for fake outs. Let the trades just do themselves. Allow that to stack up some extra cash until a breakout happens, and use that cash that you stacked up while range trading this move. Use that cash to reinvest in if we get a dip, or put it aside if we do get a pump, and continue to take profits from the long-term backs. That is the smartest way to play this right now, in my opinion, and there's not really a great alternative to that. And if you're an altcoin holder, again, the best thing to do is wait. I don't think buying or selling anything right now is a great idea unless you're simply just taking profits or DCAing the lows. But that's just that's simple, typical stuff there. Nothing crazy right now, okay? So that's where we are with Bitcoin and altcoins. Altcoin holders, be watching the support. Let's see if it holds. I'll tell you what happens next. Bitcoin holders, watch the descending channel. I'll tell you whenever I'm making my trades. I'll also tell you when we do eventually get that breakout. And if anything I said in this video feels confusing, if it's a little bit overwhelming, if it was thought-provoking, what I encourage you to do is check out the link down below to my playbook. It is completely free. You don't have to pay a dollar, a dime, a nickel for it. All you got to do is just go in, enter some information. I'm going to email you a copy of it, and it goes over a ton of stuff. There's just hours and hours and hours worth of content going over technical analysis, trading, fundamental analysis, what crypto is, and much more. And don't forget that if you are trading yourself, you can use that link to BTCC down below and go get up to $10,000 in bonuses. But overall, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's quick update, especially during this weird market. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.